From the kitchen of the cabin, it's the 5 Games for Doomsday review.
Essen 2019. Melancholy is inevitable. Of course, there are those that are more prone to it than others. Those that, through music and clothing and pan stick, train themselves to it. Because we all know a little bit of melancholy is sexy. As much for the fact it stops you being a grinning idiot as much as anything. The potential of it is always there. It lurks at the end of good times, nostalgia's mopey brother, the mellow sadness that reminds us we're human. For all the Werthers and Keatses rhapsodizing about their pain, melancholy is actually a delicate pleasure, an acknowledgement that we've done something good and it has gone. If heaven existed, it wouldn't be ecstatic, it would be wistful. The only sound you heard, gentle exhalations at recollected joys long past, and the gentle sadness at the realization that they'll never return. I'm writing this at my local cafe, looking out of the window at a bright autumn day, a day when the first fangs of winter are tempered by the glowing auburn of the leaves. I'm thinking about the previous week and, involuntarily, the corners of my mouth crane upwards. But, like the Tabasco in a Bloody Mary that makes all the difference, there's a dash of sadness, that it's all over so quickly. A speed that can't help but make you reflect on how bloody fast life goes, and how soon the whole shebang will be over. Essen is always something that I start to ache for months before the actual event. The tickle starts mid-summer, and by the start of October the whole vivarium is jumping. It consumes all of my thoughts of the future, and I can't wait to be traipsing half-conscious through the halls. The character of this anticipation has changed over the time I've been attending the show. As the wide-eyed neophyte, it was the joy at trying all the new stuff months before anyone else, the feeling of being at the centre of something. Then this turned into acquisitional anticipation, money changing hands, all those potential experiences crammed into blue IKEA bags and lugged onto a train. Then it became work, its own particular joy, crafting a show, constantly throwing a mic into people's faces, hauling the dead weight of a reluctant, lazy and avaricious partner, eager to milk the cow, and being good in spite of that. And now, it's the anticipation of meeting old friends, of reconnection, of flitting about and saying hello. The community, a bucket of water that's dumped on your head, and all that kind of intensity promotes. Except that this year, it's been almost totally absent. Brexit has sapped me of all feeling. That impulsive, hateful and embarrassing choice that has thrown so many of us into 3 years of uncertainty and robbed me of any delight when I think about the future. When you have no idea of your legal status from one moment to the next, when you find yourself despairing at the immoral cul-de-sac that the land of your birth has driven down, and when your imagination is altogether too overactive, you start to shy away from thoughts of the future, like a petrified strayed dog will shy away from people after it's been beaten. Thank fuck for the present though. Thank fuck for the unalloyed pleasure of other people. Essen is exhausting, and if you spend it like I do, incredibly unhealthy, but Christ is it life affirming, and Christ is it fun. I love the Wednesday at Essen, the day when people seem simultaneously exhausted and energized. It's all plywood and boxes, and it's wonderful. One of the best things about being an actor is being backstage, witnessing the secret world behind the lights, the stolen moments of your cast members looking into mirrors, lost in a second's thought, how unarmoured actors look when the glare of the lights and the eyes of the audience aren't on them. It's a private space seen by almost no one. This is what the Wednesday at Essen feels like. Booths half built, the growl of drills and the weirdness of seeing lorries driven indoors. You feel like an interloper seeing something you shouldn't. Also, it's much easier to get about. On Wednesday this year, I had the pleasure to take the new prototype from Hub Games, Prisma Arena, out for a test drive. This is an arena combat game pitched at families that strives for customization, and in this it succeeds. You can customise your character with the use of reusable stickers, and as your character becomes stronger, the stickers you acquire can be put in your own locker for later use. This is a game that wants you to feel ownership of your experience, and that's one of the best feelings in gaming. Michael Fox, a man who through his podcast The Little Metal Dog Show helped to mould me as a gamer, made me the happiest man alive when he lent me a copy of the grailiest of Grail games, the Ultra Metal Dungeon Crawler Cave Evil. This game is impossible to get hold of, and by having it in my hands has proven that Essen is more Christmas than Christmas. After fulfilling my meagre work duties on Wednesday, the rest of the day descended into drink and food and flitting about. I stopped by the Motel 1 for 5 minutes and ended up staying forever, catching up, throwing insults and arguing the toss over nothing. It is the serendipitous nature of Essen that makes it so fun for me. It's all chance meetings and surprise conversations. You find yourself flanked by old friends and new ones. For all of my misanthropic posturings, I would shrivel up and die without other people. We are programmed to seek them out, and it's only in being together that we flourish. The Deutsche Spielpreis ceremony is unnecessarily formal. People who have no business being in suits stand around looking uncomfortable, and then they invite the Lord Mayor of Essen over to fire out some platitudes. This year's mayor was definitely a downgrade on last year's model. He was all slime-haired youthful exuberance and media-trained fist bumps. There was nothing of the Lucian difference of the previous mayor, who was a man who didn't give a shit and didn't care if you knew it. There's something to admire in that. This new guy wants you to think he cares when he has no idea what he's talking about, and so every sentence clangs with horrific insincerity. And this forced bonhomie evaporates when he's off the stage, walking the floor, sneering and indifferent. You can smell the degree in PPE, taste the smug self-importance. A little man in high office, the picture of the Peter Principle. I absolutely adored him. The rest of the ceremony is fun for being able to cheer if your friends win an award, chatting to people and grabbing them to answer your inane questions into a microphone. There are speeches that no one listens to, and placards and awards, all of this to try and confer some sort of stentorian importance onto an industry that is built on fun, that is built on play. If I was organising it, I'd just have a big bouncy castle, a vat of wine and the Mr. Blobby song on infinite repeat. But maybe that's why no one ever asks me to organise anything. The rest of my Essen was very much like my Essen's past, aimlessly walking around, picking up games, chatting and drinking. If I could deign to offer advice to those attending, it would be this. Don't make plans. Don't brandish your highlighter. Be unguided. Let events strike you. Be a particle that is knocked about into stall and stand, into meeting and rendezvous. Unless, of course, you have real work to do, then of course don't do any of that. I would like to end this woefully insubstantial chronicle of the show by thanking a few people. They are, after all, the reason I go at all. I'd like to thank all of the people at the house who put up with me. I'll miss that weird little 70s flat. It shall be no more, and I'll have to find alternative plans for next year. That's a shame. I'd like to thank Karen and Hans for the company, the offer of hospitality and drugs, and for the deeply concerning anecdotes about having your colon transplanted into your esophagus. I'd like to thank all of those people who took the time to talk into my microphone, and those that turned me down can fuck off. I'd like to thank Uli for being the most offensive person on the planet, and Tony for calling me a cunt, and 1,000 others for making me feel at home, for making me feel part of something. And so I sit here, wrapped up in my warm mantle of melancholy, thinking about what has passed, and a smile involuntarily passes my face. It's a smile composed of memory, a smile made up of the society of others, and I have a reason to smile too. It's because so many of you are so precious to me. You help me to know myself and to give form to this formless thing they call a psyche. You do all this, and it's at a place like Essen that all of this coalesces. This is why these gatherings are vital. So, thanks once again, and hopefully see you next year. Thank you for listening, and you can support this show by going to patreon.com/5G4D.